Hey, Patricia, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that you're coming on the show. We would love if you could introduce yourself.
My name is Patricia D'Arcy Laughlin. I'm an author and an artist. I'm also married to my teenage sweetheart for a very long time, and we've been blessed with 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great grandchildren. Apart from that, of writing this book that we're going to talk about, I had a very successful career painting. I created a medium called Unique Stainings on wood. And apparently, I'm the only one in the world doing it. I won an award for this out of 52 countries competing. I won the Prize of Excellence with my one painting. And since then, my focus has been on writing.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us what your book is about.
My book is a trilogy. It's called Sacrifices for Kingdoms. And basically, what it shows is that each of us is our own kingdom for which we make sacrifices, not just for ourselves, but for our loved ones as well. And it's a love triangle, it's a contemporary romance. And there are 2 male protagonists. And the one starting the novel is a European prince. No particular country, just Europe. I wanted that to be a mystery. There are many monarchies still in Europe. And he woos this young lady, Elizabeth, that he meets at a royal garden party at his palace. And she's reluctant, and eventually they fall in love. But they both have huge and dangerous secrets. And the story unfolds with these secrets and mysteries and a lot of suspense and much danger as well. Some of it is quite shocking.
Love that. What inspired you to write your book?
I traveled a lot. I actually went to school in England, high school in England, but I was born in Trinidad in the Caribbean, British and French ancestry. And I finished high school in England and I traveled a lot from there in Europe and married very young, as I said, my teenage sweetheart. And we have traveled a lot. And I traveled a lot to historical places and was very shocked to see the amount of goddess information that is in these places that I was not raised with. I was raised typical patriarchal religion. And so I had to learn more about it. I always wondered why God had a gender. Gender is in male, female, not agenda. And so I began to question the whole patriarchy situation, seeing that as the planet has been run for 2 millennia by patriarchy, and we just can't seem to achieve peace on earth, I needed to know why, if there was this goddess religion that existed all over the known world for more than the 2+ millennia that we've been under patriarchy, why we weren't taught these things. So this is one of the things that my female protagonist does. She gives speeches called God Has No Gender. And she exposes these ancient goddess religions and the barbarian patriarchal tribes who coveted these very advanced goddess and gods together with goddesses worshipping people. They were developing agriculture. They were developing medicines out of snake venom. They developed writing. They were much more civilized than these patriarchal barbarian tribes. And they coveted these people. They wanted to control the wealth. And they had the muscle. They were big people. They came from the north, from the Caucasus, Russian region up north. And how they managed this was by starting to try to brainwash these people into accepting that there's only one God and it's a man. We have the muscle and it's a man and we have to be in control. And for many, many millennia, they struggled to get that through and eventually achieved it by torture, violence, and basically oppression and control of females. It's right there in the Bible. These people were called pagans, the goddess worshipping people, and the gods together with goddesses. And so that really shook me up. And I started putting that as a speech that my heroine would go around giving. She was highly educated. She'd gotten a bachelor's at NYU, and she was now getting her master's. And she just felt strongly that if patriarchy continues, we will not survive. The planet will not survive. We cannot have just the more aggressive testosterone continually running the show, because here it is now. We have more wars forming right as we speak and conflicts continuing. And she realized the only way we can achieve world peace is to balance both genders in power.
When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
Primarily human beings. I want both men and women to read this book, not just, of course, it targets females to a great extent because it goes through the oppression of females. It still continues. But yet, I want men to read the book and see how all this evolved. Apart from that, my couples are in love and they have just not great sex, just fabulous sex, which people in love deserve to have. And having been married so young and being in a committed relationship from so young, I felt comfortable in developing my own sexuality. And I felt comfortable in asking other people about their sexual experiences. I'm a good listener. People get that. The female brain has a bigger listening section than the male brain. And people opened up to me. So a lot of these experiences are in my book. And from even the men who have given me a review on the book say that they just learned so much and it has improved their married lives.
How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
I've been writing since childhood. I would say about 8, 9, 10. I started writing a lot of poetry. I even wrote songs. But I didn't pursue a book as such until I was at school in England. And I got a little bored with regular classes like math and geography. And I'm really just a creative being, very creative soul, actually. And so I started writing in a little red notebook an entire Shakespearean language play. I would run into the ladies' room whenever I could to get away from a class I wasn't enjoying and getting bored with, because I don't allow boredom. But I've lost that book. But then I met some royalty along the way, and it occurred to me they're just ordinary people in many ways, like the rest of us. They have the same feelings, the same ambitions. They hurt the same way. They have joy the same way, even though we put them to a higher standard. And it occurred to me, I'm going to write about a European prince with a commoner, is what it would have been called at that time when I started. Now I just say an ordinary person. But Elizabeth is an extraordinary person. She is not ordinary by any means. And that's how it evolved, that it became a European and a commoner base story. but there is another male protagonist involved. And that's as far as I'll go now. People have to read the book.
Love that. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
It's erratic. Um, Basically, I have a large family that need a lot of my attention because I just love my family, and I had to actually apologize to them through the years. They laugh at that because they say, no, you did not, you did not ignore us. You were just typical Grandy. They call me Grandy. But I needed to be able to have a place to escape to. And I did eventually have my own office at home. And I just write wherever I can, actually. The schedule is crazy. I could wake up at 2, 3 in the morning with ideas and I run to the computer. Or I could be sitting in a waiting room waiting for a child or a grandchild somewhere. I'd be writing there. I'd write when I was being driven in a car because we travel a lot, long drives. And so the schedule is, I try to write a bit every day, but it doesn't always work out with social issues. I don't get blocks. I don't understand the whole block thing. I mean, you have a brain, how could you get blocked? But what you get is distracted, in your life. All my family live near to us, thank God, which is wonderful. But that is some of a distraction with our social life. We have a lot of great friends all over the world. We've traveled and we have family all over the world. But I really try and get a couple of pages done at least every day.
Amazing. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Basically, I need a computer. Um, I have two computers. I have a travel one and I have a bigger one with a big monitor so I can see properly. And I even have an encyclopedia. I have a printer, of course. Um, just the normal things that one needs to write.
Amazing. What is your favorite writing snack and drink?
I love pineapple. I eat pineapple chunks. I also love ice cream bars, preferably covered with dark chocolate and grapes and things like that. But quite often I have my lunch in front of a computer and sometimes dinner too. So it's a variety of snacks and juices. I drink a lot of orange juice or pomegranate juice.
Amazing. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
I love romance stories. I have to say, I also love stories with suspense and mystery. Um, the the kind of books that I go for, I like series books. That really holds me. I read a lot of history myself. I read a lot of spirituality, a lot of travel because I love to travel, and I always read books on travel even before I go to those countries. And we pretty much covered every continent except Antarctica. I'm a warm-blooded child of the tropics. The cold doesn't appeal to me. um, and I have a lot of special authors that inspire me that I really enjoy. And that includes people like Diana Gabaldon with the Outlander series. I loved the Angelique series by Sergeant Golan. Um, Barbara Taylor Bradford, A Woman of Substance. Somebody who inspired me a lot was Gail Sheehy. She wrote Sex and the Seasoned Woman. And I enjoy any book by Susan Elizabeth Phillips. She writes great romance with great sex in humorous ways, which just inspires me a lot.
Amazing. That goes into our next question of, are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
I would say all of the above, all that we just discussed. James Michener, who wrote especially Hawaii, he wrote a series of different books of different parts of the world. He was a big inspiration. Barbara Taylor Bradford, A Woman of Substance, big inspiration. Another series that I enjoyed was Children of Kaiwana by Edgar Mittelholzer. That's a very old one. I read that as a child. Um, I read a lot of spiritual books too, trying to understand this whole thing about God as a man.
What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
uh, I would say it's difficult to pin it down to an all-time favorite. Um, but definitely the Angelique series held me because I was still quite young when I started it, and so the romance and the sexuality was a whole new thing for me. And I did go through that whole series. There were a lot of books, and it was a husband and wife team that wrote it, Serge and Anne Goulon, and they just wrote it under Serge Anne Goulon. And then Children of Kaiwana, because it had to do with the area that I was living in as a youngster in the Caribbean. Trinidad is right next to Venezuela and Guyana, and it was about a lot to do with the indigenous people, which always fascinated me. Not being one of them, but those sorts of things are what I read a lot about.
Amazing. On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you automatically grab it?
Definitely Diana Gabaldon, definitely, and Barbara Taylor Bradford. She has a new series out now, Falconer. I haven't really gotten into it, but because I'm still researching for my third book. I've written the second book. It's coming out in the spring, but I'm still researching for my third book. So I'm not reading a whole lot of other people's books at the moment. I'm reading a lot of research. But when I do want to relax, I will grab Susan Elizabeth Phillips' book. Very relaxing and fun.
Amazing. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
Um, read what you think you would like, but keep an open mind. Books give you such a wide horizon of places that you may have forgotten about. Our lives are busy, and people get so busy that they may forget things that they would have wanted to do, wanted to see, places to go. And by all means, people need to read books that will inspire them, if not to travel, to question societal norms, or just to feel good about things or feel better about things. They need inspiration in their books.
Love that. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
Well, for me, it was to get support. So I suggest people should get support. You should tell your family and friends, look, I'm writing a book and I really need your support. I'm going to need space from time to time. And I may not be able to do all the social things that I love to do with you guys. Don't give up on me. Still invite me. But if I can't make it, please forgive me. Um, and people have to persevere when they're writing. It's very tough. It's very easy to give up, especially with all the distractions one may have in their lives, especially for women. Women are doing many more jobs than men are in their own lives. And so you need to persevere, you need to have courage, and not let the distractions and the criticism get to you, because you will get criticism. You have to be tenacious, and do your research. Even for fiction, do research, because you want to feel authentic, and you want the readers to feel that authenticity. Most of all, you need to find a peaceful place, a private space, if you can, and just have time to keep your own mind open. But don't separate yourself from society. You need society to keep you inspired too.
Amazing. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
That I am so creative. um, uh, and that I've been writing from very young. It shocks most people. Um, and they're always surprised that I've been able to find time to write, because they know how busy my life is. My husband and I have been involved in founding 3 major charities in our city, Sarasota, and we have a group of friends who are very civic minded. And actually, my prince is also very civic minded. He talks before the United Nations and even in South America about climate change. And so I have that sort of friendly situation in my life, that most of my friends are very caring people.
Amazing. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Well, basically, I want people to be entertained by my books. I want them to feel good, even though they may not always agree with everything that I write. I want them to stick it through and see the logic in it. I want them to feel empowered, enlightened, but to enjoy my book, to love the book, and for them to feel love and feel passionate, um, even with the controversial things that are in my book, for them to keep an open mind and just absorb, get enlightened.
Amazing. Where's the best place for readers to find your book? I know some readers love signed copies. Is that an option and the best place to connect with you?
Well, of course, I'm on Amazon, Amazon Books, Barnes and Noble, any place that sells books, I'm on right now. Signed copies, I know what people do like signed copies, and I'm doing a lot of book signings in the future. I'll be traveling. I'll do some tours, and they can connect with me through my website, Instagram, Facebook. Um, and my website actually is patriciadarcylaughlin.com. They can also purchase my book from my website. I will be putting announcements as to where my future book signings will be taking place on my website.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.